Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable. Today's Wednesday, August 7th. August 7th. 7 days into August already. Holy smokes. I tell you what, we are going to have kind of a storm this afternoon. You can see it brewing. You can feel it, how you can feel that outside. And so let's get together and just send some really good energy that the storm holds off until after the show is done. Okay. Yeah, it's getting kind of dark over there in the west. So welcome. I'm Yvette Neshi Lokotz, and I welcome you to Star Nation's main fan page where I do this live stream called the Spiritual Roundtable Sunday through Thursday at 2 p.m. Central, 3 Eastern. And I have to tell you that it's one of the highlights of my day because I get to hang out with community members, my peeps here at Star Nations, and have a spiritual conversation or even a conversation about spirit, right? Yeah, and it's all based on the divination cards that I draw in the morning. I've been doing this for a lot of years, right? And it wasn't until about a year ago that my spiritual team was nudging me in the direction of doing a live stream around the card draw. And so that's how that got started. But really, the intention for the card draw is about Spirit showing us the energy that's flowing today that is important for us to know about for our spiritual growth, for our highest good, and to help us to understand with clarity maybe things that are going on in our life, like getting the aha moments or connecting those dots, right? And it always leads to a really, really good conversation with those that in the live chat, and even those that are watching the recorded version of this and putting their comments in as well. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. Yeah, today's cards are very interesting. Cards we haven't had yet. Yum, yum, yum. I love tea, especially iced tea. You know what? Before I forget, I am going to take my phone and I am going to find our live stream and I'm going to send it over to my news feed. We're calling it sprinkling. I'm going to sprinkle it over to my news feed and also to one of our closed groups. Okay. I thought I saw somebody standing at the door. Okay. So I'm going to like or love it. And you know what? I'm going to invite you to do the same thing. To send the live stream, sprinkle it over to your newsfeed, or just to send it to a friend, somebody that you think that would enjoy this a spiritual conversation, right? Because I figured that whenever we find something that helps us along our way on our path here on Earth, right, our spiritual growth, whenever we find something, someone else is looking for it too. And so if we can at all help somebody else just by sharing it maybe once or twice or, to a group or something like that, it's kind of like a civic duty for a light worker. And so I'm at my news feed, and I'm just going to remind my friends that I'm live streaming and asking them if they would like to come out and play. Join us. All right, and we're going to send them a heart. There we go. And then I'm going to send it over to our closed group, the Star Nations live stream shows closed group. And let's see, we got to pick a place here. There it is. Okay, so we're just going to remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. Oops, got to spell correctly. There we go. And There, that works. Gotta turn down my sound on my phone. There we go. Now let's see who's in the chat. It's always good to say hi to people. See, Heather's with us. Hi, Heather. It's good to have you here. So glad you could join us. And Robert going, who? I don't know. Isn't that a band name? Or is it The Who? So they had good music too. Rochelle says, hello, Neshi. Hello, Rochelle. She says, Deb and I are listening. Grounded 2 times today, but today weird energy seems to be surrounding us. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll find out a little bit more about that, huh? And hi, Deb. I'm so glad you're here too. Thank you for reminding us about the grounding, Rochelle. So for those of you who haven't done your grounding yet today, now would be a good time. We'll pause and do your grounding so that the information that we're going to be sharing, you'll be able to take it in much more in a deeper way, okay? So go ahead and do your grounding. I'm not going to start right away. I'm just going to say hi to a few people here. Jen's here. She says, good morning, beautiful people. Good morning, Jen. Thank you for joining us. And it's morning time by Jen. Jen is over in Australia. Yeah. Rochelle says, howdy, Jen. Good day, Rochelle. I love that. Heather, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You too, Jen. Thank you. And Rochelle said she sprinkled it too. Yay. Yay, good one. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And look who just popped in. Marie. Marie just popped in. Hello, Marie. Oh, by the way, thank you, Marie. I received your check in the mail for the upcoming class with Polly Joe in October. So thank you so much. And Julie is going to get a hold of you and send you some more information, okay? Good. Can't wait to see you. And so today's cards are really interesting. I'm going to show which cards we're using, okay? We're still using this deck, the Shaman Wisdom cards by Laida Richardson. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. It was published in 1998. Shaman Wisdom cards. We've been using this deck for about a month. I'm going to turn off the crawler. Throw my name up there. There we go. And you know, this deck has really given us some really good conversation. The messages on the cards are very, very simple, but within that simplicity, it really has given us the opportunity to really stretch and use our intuition, hasn't it? And I think that's why we've had such really good, rich conversation around the cards, is because we're tapping into our own intuition and not being led in one direction or the other, but rather having our intuition come forward, right? It's really been good. All right. Can't wait to get started. All right, here is the first card. The first card is Hawk. Number 19 in the card deck. There's 65 cards. This is the 19th one. Hawk represents the East, sacred feminine, and air. Now, with this deck, the author created the deck to help us with our balance, okay? Harmony and peace. Because when we're in balance, then we get to experience harmony and peace, right? And so in that, she really does help us to identify the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine in the cards. And so with this particular card, Hawk, the East is a masculine energy, and so is air. Air happens to be the element that represents the spirit of the East on the medicine wheel. Okay. Yeah. Number 19. That's a 10, right? Which is a 1 in numerology, and the 1 is always about the creator. Hawk. So I know that there are many, many, many of us who have hawk as a power animal or a birth totem, right? So I'm really, really curious who in the live chat has hawk as either a power animal or a birth totem. Because I tell you what, there are a lot of people here in Star Nations that carry that hawk medicine. Yeah. So I'm curious. So go ahead and in the chat, right? Let me know if hawk is a power animal for you or a birth totem. Okay. And if you need help identifying that, I can help you with that. I'll just get my pendulum out and we will do some dowsing. Okay. Marie says, yeah, so excited. Me too. Me too. Having you here up at Star Nations in Wisconsin. What do you know, Polly Joe? Polly Joe's in the house? Okay. Rob says he does. He has hawk as medicine that he carries. Yeah. Polly Joe is watching. Auntie PJ, I have to tell you, your furry nephew this morning, what a pill. I made the mistake. I know it was probably my fault, but I made the mistake and I told him around 10 after 7, quarter after 7, that he was going to daycare and that he needed to go outside and do his duty out there to get ready to go. And I was working with Mom and the next thing I know, okay, he's outside, he comes in, but he's like grabbing his leash off from the bench and he's ready to go. It was like an hour. He was going, to me, it's like, we can't leave yet. So he was, oh my goodness. I actually had to send him, it's called Place. It's his bed in the living room, and it's where he goes to calm down. Okay. So I had to send him to his place to calm down. Your furry nephew. Okay. All right, so I don't think I can scroll yet. Nope, I can't scroll in the chat yet. So Rob is saying he does carry hawk medicine, but he's not sure which one though, if it's a power animal or if it's a birth totem. And Rob, if you'd like me to douse that for you, I can. Just let me know if that's what you'd like us to do, okay? All right. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about hawk. Now, hawk is a messenger, like other bird medicines, right? A messenger. And hawk, it's very interesting. Hawk in their hunting territory, right? It's ranged quite far. But did you know that they share it with the great horned owl? I didn't know that. See, I have both. I have both as the hawk as a power animal and the great horned owl as a birth totem. And so the hawk hunts during the daytime, right, in their hunting territory, and the great horned owl hunts the same territory but at night. And so whenever I see hawk, or whenever I hear or see the owl, I always check in with the other to find out even more information. It's kind of like the flip side, or if I hear hawk, that's 180 degrees. If I contact my birth totem, I get the other 180 degrees, so that I have the full circle of information. Does that make sense? Yeah, because when I first tapped into that, I thought, oh my goodness, okay, this gives me so much more information than I would if I just connected just to the one, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So Rob says, yes, please. Their union is very strict on shifts. Yeah, one's union, one's not. Adds to the tension between the two, right? Michelle said, I saw a golden hawk flying down the river yesterday. A golden hawk? I don't think I've ever seen a golden hawk. Jen says, they let me know of danger when I travel. Yesterday, which was Wednesday, your current day now, a whole group of them were circling together over my property. I wondered of its significance, then it comes up in the cards today. So let's find out, right, what they're going to have to say. Let me grab my pendulum. Hang on. My team is so funny. They have quite a sense of humor. I was grabbing my pendulum and I heard, have pendulum, will travel. It's like, because I never go anywhere without my pendulum and my tobacco pouch. So I'm always ready. All right. So this is my pendulum. It is sterling silver, right? And I use silver because it doesn't hold on to residual energies. So I can go from one topic to another with the same pendulum in the dowsing without having to pause to clear the pendulum. Okay. Now it does get cleared on occasion when it asks for it. And so, yeah, let's get started. We'll find out for Rob. Okay. All right. So first of all, I'm going to ask my pendulum to see if this pendulum is sufficiently clear to dowse with. That's my yes. Okay, thank you. And then I'm going to ask, am I worthy to dowse today? All right, thank you. And can you tell me the truth on that? Yes, thank you. Okay, and do I have permission from Rob Kendall's higher self, from his soul self, to dowse for him regarding hawk as a medicine that he carries? Okay, and that's a big yes. All right. So does Rob Kendall carry hawk medicine as a power animal? No. Does he carry hawk medicine as a birth totem? Yes. Yes. Okay. And so there's so many kinds of hawks, Rob. There's so many. I'm just going to ask in general, okay? I'm going to ask, is it the red-tailed hawk that is a birth totem for Rob? No. It's a different kind of hawk. Yes. Okay. So if you can get a list of hawks for me, I'll pause on that, Rob, for you. It's a birth totem, which means that that the hawk medicine, whichever one that is for you, joined you as you came into this physical life and has been with you since the moment you were born. Okay, and will stay with you until you walk on and leave your physical body as a spirit. Okay. And so we'll find out. Just let me know the list, or if you have one in mind already, because you might already know. You might see it quite often, and I can always down on that. Yeah, I had asked Rob about red tail, and it said no, it wasn't red tail, because almost everybody that has hawk has red tail as that animal. So I'm going to ask again. I'm just double checking. Red tail hawk for Rob Kendall, is that Rob's birth totem? No. It's a different hawk. It's a different one. Okay, I keep hearing Cooper, so I'm going to ask. Is the Cooper hawk Rob Kendall's birth totem? Yes. Can you tell me the truth on that? Yes. So you might want to look up Cooper's hawk or Cooper hawk. Yeah, I know. He's going, no? Question mark. Now that doesn't mean that red tail doesn't come to you every once in a while. It's not your birth totem though. Let me ask this. Does Rob Kendall have a hawk as a power animal? No. Had he had red-tailed hawk as a power animal at one time? Yes. So whatever red-tailed hawk was helping you with, that you completed whatever that was, and he's no longer, red-tailed hawk is no longer needed in that part of your life. So, you're going to have to get to know the Cooper hawk and find out. Look up its environment, of course, the esoteric or metaphysical meaning of it, and then and not necessarily in this order, okay? You might even just download a picture of it or get a picture of it and just sit with it and allow Cooper Hawk to tell you about your relationship without reading or looking at anything else first, right? Because that way, when you're doing your reading, it's more of a validation than someone else telling you, right? Make sense? Let me know how that turns out. Hey, Sally's here too. Hi, Sally. Yeah. Okay. Let's find out from this author, from Laida, I think that's how you pronounce it, what she says about Hawk. Okay. Okay. Get it in focus here. Focus. There we go. All right. I am Hawk. As my wings carry me over the fields below, I am filled with quiet awe and love of earth and sky. I am assertive and perceptive, focusing on my intent. I observe the act. I keenly identify new opportunities as well as hazards and challenges. I am powerful in my ability to maneuver through testy situations. I rouse you to see through and above whatever situation you may find yourself in at this time. From my higher perspective, you can see hazards and obstacles that block your progress. Meanings are often camouflaged in our everyday, day-to-day routine. Listen for my shrill cry, and you will know it's time to obtain balance and insight. Follow your heart, your genuine truth. So, you know what I think is what really jumped out at me at this is that last piece is follow your heart, your genuine truth, right? Because yesterday we were talking a lot about, or the last couple of days, has been a lot of really strong feminine, sacred feminine energy. And yesterday's message was more about us turning our attention or our focus on that aspect of us, our sacred feminine, and not to hide from it, right? It's to step from behind our mask and to take a look at that part of us, right? And with this one, with this card, in the combination of the male-female energies here, right? There's more masculine energy on this card than there is feminine. But what we're being asked to do is to follow our heart, which is feminine, right? The sacred feminine, our genuine truth. So in the action that we take to follow our truth, to follow our heart, the action piece is the sacred masculine. The sacred feminine is the emotions around that, right? That's the sacred feminine. And so we're being asked to get in touch with our sacred feminine emotions and feelings and to follow our truth. And in the action is the masculine energy, which is the balance, right? Yeah. Rabasine, thank you. You're welcome. Let's see, you also asked Cooper Hawk, ? Are they related to the barred owl? I don't know. You'll have to find that out in your investigation, in your search, to getting to know your birth totem. Yeah. Okay. The other thing that kind of jumped out at me is that I observe, then act. I keenly identify new opportunities as well as hazards and challenges. and having the ability to maneuver through testy situations. So what's a testy situation, right? What's a testy situation? You know, and spirit of the East and air, the element air, that really has to do with our mental thoughts and communication. So maybe it's in the testiness is in a communication. Yeah, you know, maybe it's not the energies aren't balanced enough to have an open communication, allowing it to flow, right? And sometimes when we're too much in our mental mind, man, we can spin things, can't we? It could be this way, it could be that way, or maybe it could be this or that. So we can really get ourselves really spun pretty tightly with our mental thoughts, right? Yeah. And so that testiness could be about communication. And hot comes to us for us to see through and above whatever situation you may find yourself in at this time. The higher perspective, you can see the hazards and the obstacles that are blocking your progress, right? Flying above it. Now, here is something that, because you have to remember that these cards were created prior to 1998, published in 1998. You know, by the time it was published, the author was probably working on the deck maybe a year at least before it was published. So we're talking 1997, 1998, right? The energy field we were in at the time was very different than what we're in right now. So if we take that piece and expand it, right? Be like the hawk and take in a higher perspective, a wider perspective of that. And so we're not just identifying challenges and obstacles. That's good to do. But we also get to identify the good pieces, the easier path, the path that could possibly take us more in a straighter line, or perhaps we can choose the rule, the what does it call it? I had the term and I lost it. You know, is where the country roads, right? It takes you a little bit longer to get there, prettier, not a lot less traffic, but it takes you a longer time to get there. The hawk can actually see all of that for you. It's a higher perspective. So yes, you can identify the roadblocks and the challenges and those kinds of things. That's good. But we should also look for those things that are the positives, right? Those things that will be helpful to us. Perhaps it's choosing between two different gifts that you have. And if you use gift A and you take that path, you may have this kind of experience. Or if you choose to use gift B, you're going to have gift B experience, right? So what I'm saying is that we have to choose also to ask our spiritual team, your power animals, your birth totems, the hawk, to show you both. Because, you know, this reminds me of the show that I did last night, right? Communications from Home. And we were talking about 80-20 of positivity. Where do you place your energy? Do you place the 80% of your energy in lower vibrational situations, information, and only 20% in positive? Or do you do the flip? Are you placing 80% of your energy in the positive while keeping track of obstacles and challenges and those kinds of things that could actually be in a little bit more lower vibration? But are you spending a lot of your time in it, right? So this one statement that the author makes is to see through and above whatever situation you may find yourself in at this time. From a higher perspective, you can see hazards and obstacles that block your progress. That is so true. That is so true. We want to see those, but do we want to spend all of our time with them? You know, because if we spend more of our time in the positive, the obstacles and the blocks are going to be taken care of, right? Because, you know, they could be the healings that you're doing. And so if you look at it from a more positive perspective, and you're saying, oh, if I do a healing around my heart, the emotions from whatever situation that was, that's more of a positive. So you're removing the obstacle in a positive way, rather than spinning your wheels and your energy in that place of the negative, right? Yeah? Okay. Let's see. I'm going to get caught up with people in chat. So just a second here. Rob says, I've never seen the testy situation at work. Me either. Jen says, I'm going to move my phone closer so I'm closer to the camera. Jen says, I have been cleaning and clearing the 3-bay shed to make room for my son to move home. I actually have enjoyed doing it. Testy is having my son move home. Well, it could be, because, you know, there's some growth in that too, right? Could be. Jen says, they protect me on the road, so seeing hazards confirms their service. Blessings. Absolutely. The byways, yeah. Is in the highways and byways. Yeah, they're scenic roads. Scenic, that's what they're called here in Wisconsin. Scenic something or other. Scenic road, scenic. But they are not the interstate, and they're not state roads. They're more county 2-lane, no center, line or anything. Jen says, I feel the eagle is my totem animal. I morph into eagle in my dreams a lot. Well, that's fascinating. And it probably is true, you know? Rob says, one of the first feathers I was gifted by spirit is in my attention, grabbed by my walk to find it. It must usually be grabbed as I'm listening to something, was either a barred owl or a Cooper's hawk. There was a debate as to which. Oh. Huh. Well, when you find out a little bit more about both, okay, because that would be, if you find out that the barred owl and the Cooper's hawk share a hunting area or share something like that, yeah, you can hold a feather and ask, are you a barred or are you Cooper? Yeah, and you can feel it. When I do that, when I try to identify and I think, well, who are you? You feel like so-and-so. And if my intuition is spot on, the feather is going to vibrate in my hand. So you can try that and see, you can ask the feather. Scenic routes. That's it. Thank you, Rochelle. He says, Rob says, I looked up the Cooper and the markings are similar. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Well, I do believe that a hawk is coming to us today as the first card, right? To encourage us to follow our heart and our genuine truth. In other words, that, we're back to that balance thing again, right? Between the head and the heart. And that we can call on Hawk to help us to identify the challenges and also to help us identify the resolutions or the path that's meant for us to take, for us to learn whatever we're meant to learn through that in such a graceful way, right? Because it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be traumatic or dramatic. There might be a little to that little friction kind of tension, but it doesn't have to be the cosmic 2x4. It doesn't have to be that. It could be a lot more graceful, right? So Hawk, we can call on Hawk for that, right? Camera, focus, focus, there we go. Hawk. All right, so next card. We've never had this one either. This is Corn Planting Moon. It's the third card in the deck. Third card. And for me, the number 3 is all about the Ascended Masters. It's about the Triple Goddess. It's also a creation number. Corn Planting Moon. The Gemini, Pots, P-O-T-S, and Child. Corn Planting Moon. So we know it's going to be in the spring, right? The dates are actually May 21st to June 20th. So it's Gemini. And Gemini is an air sign. I am surrounded by many, and we're going to say many Geminis. I know Gemini energy pretty well. I'm married to one. My mom is a Gemini. My mother-in-law is a Gemini. Paul's, of course, his twin sister is a Gemini. Polly Joe is a Gemini. 2 of my sisters, Teresa's a Gemini. We got a lot of Geminis. And so I know that Gemini, they do carry that air element, and also it's a lot about the mental thoughts, their mental mind, okay? And so here we go with how do we balance this out? How is the author balancing the energy here? Okay, camera focus, there we go. So Gemini is more of a sacred masculine. Pots are feminine. They're containers. Right? And with the Child, when you think of a child, you think of innocence, right? And you think of somebody who isn't taking life so seriously yet. Right? Yeah. Playtime and that sort of thing. You think about our inner child. Yeah. Well, hello, Jocelyn. Jocelyn's with us too. It's good to see you. It's good to have you here. All right. So here is what the author has to say about our second card for today. She says, I am Corn Planting Moon. I am a place of beginnings. I am the germination of ideas. The Corn Maiden comes as a symbol of food and sustenance for the people. Honor her. I am germination. Under my light, you are called to begin anew, to sharpen your communication skills, to get along better with all of your relations. Energy increases during this time. Let your ideas germinate and grow. Let yourself smile at the progress. Gemini, or Corn Planting Moon. Corn Planting Moon. Now, when I read this information, and I took it with Hawk, with these two together, right? And I had said something just a little while ago about, that testy situation. And I had mentioned something about Maybe it could be in communication, right? Because the quality of the East, the spirit of the East, and the element of air, a lot of that has to do with our mental thoughts, our mental mind, and communication. And then in comes the corn planting moon that validated that. And so, it's a possibility that whatever is going on in your life, that what Hawk can see as it flies above, can see those obstacles and challenges, right? That maybe it could be the possible obstacle or challenge is in the communication. And so when we are able to communicate from our higher heart, our high heart, in a balanced way, right, between the head and the mind, or the mind and the heart, you're communicating from here, is that the person receiving the vibration or the information is able to hear it, right? They can feel it, they can sense it, that you're speaking from your heart, that you're speaking in a balanced and communicating in a balanced way. And so it's a possibility that Hawk is actually identifying something for us today in that communication, in the resolution or the choice to make is to communicate from your high heart, so that you're following your heart, right? You're following your heart, and the action behind it. I'm looking for Hawk again. I want to get that, what they said, correct here. Follow your heart, your genuine truth. Follow your heart, your genuine truth. And so if you're communicating from your heart, that testy situation could actually lead to a better outcome, right? Okay, and we also have to speak to ourselves in the same way from our hearts. When we connect to ourself, when we do that self-talk, right? As probably Joe would say, shush the inner critic up. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Jen is saying spring is 1st of September for Australia. Okay. So for Australia, oh, good one, Jen, because this shows us how we can be more expansive, right? So for you, in the dates of May 21st to June 20th, then is fall, right? Is that correct? Would be, right? Because spring, June, first day of summer, April. That would be fall, yes. All right, so really it would be more of a harvest for you, right? So the corn actually, is more of a harvest time for you. So it's a possibility then that you're working through, you've already worked through it. You can actually see or sense a culmination of the planting that you've done. So if Hawk is indicating that we're to be communicating from our hearts, right? Following our genuine truth, And Hawk is identifying communication as being a testy issue. Okay, so you're already seeing the harvest of that, right? Oh my gosh, I don't know what this means. What does this mean? I was just shown it's like when you have a pillowcase and you turn it inside out. So what does that mean? It's the same fabric. It's just on the other side. It's the same fabric. It's just on the other side. Because we're the ones that turn it inside out. Right? Okay. So basically what Spirit's just showing to me is that it's the same message. It's just, it's on the other side. It's on the other side of it. It's the same fabric. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the energy that's flowing, right? Yeah, it's just on the other side. It's on the flip side. Okay. So Jen is saying that my partner is struggling with my boy moving home. It's a big test. I would never not allow my children a place to come home to. Well, yeah, of course, but it's also about boundaries. It really is. In my culture, Native American culture, and the family that I grew up in, um, we're taking kids in all the time. You know, that a lot of times the aunties are raising their nieces and nephews because in our culture they're our children. That's my daughter. That's my son, right? And of course, you're not going to turn them away if they need help. But we also learn about boundaries, right? When you have a healthy, loving boundary, they're so much easier to keep in place, and they don't take a lot of your energy to keep in place. So you might want to consider the boundaries, right? Talk about it with your partner. Boundaries. And so therein lies the communication. Yeah, the communication doesn't start with your son. Communication starts with your partner. Yeah. Jen is saying, it's up to me to communicate through my heart for the greatest good of all. Absolutely. You can still have compassion, right? And love with boundaries. Absolutely. She calls it hard love. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Jen, thank you for sharing all of that, because I think that's a great example of what Spirit is trying to show us here through these cards today, right? It's a lot of it is about the communication and calling on Hawk to be able to see from a higher perspective what are the issues and what is your next best step to be able to take from your high heart. How do you communicate that through the high heart, right? Yeah, because we all play roles for each other, right? We don't go through this existence in a solitary way. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have one more card. I'm looking at the time. This one, Cedar. It's the 37th card in the deck. That's a 10, which is a 1. Creator again. Cedar. Carries masculine energy of the north, the sun and fire. Cedar. From an indigenous point of view, here on Turtle Island, it is one of the 4 sacred herbs that were plants given to the native people. And cedar does so much, really. I grew up with it. That is the plant that we used for clearing out lower vibrational energies. We called it smoking a house. I was helping my mom with that since I was 13 years old, getting the embers out of the fireplace and putting the dried cedar onto the embers and walking through the house with it. And so cedar for those natives east of the Mississippi is very similar to how natives on the west side of the Mississippi use white sage. Okay, it carries the same qualities in clearing lower vibrational energies. And you can drink the tea just like you can do with the sage. Yeah. So cedar, to me, when I smell cedar, it's a very home feeling for me. There was one time I was volunteering to take care of prairie restoration, and I was part of a controlled burn in a remnant prairie that was kind of up in a bluff. And so it was a little bit of a hike with a water canister on your back. And we get up there, and the experts had already lit the fire, and we were just kind of watching the periphery and making sure that the fire didn't get out of control, right? And I'm standing in the smoke, and it smelled so good. It's because cedar in that part of the state is not indigenous to that part of the state. It's actually an invasive species in that part of the state. And so when you do the controlled burns, it will encourage the prairie plants to grow and discourage the invasive plants not to grow. Okay. But here I am standing in the middle of all the smoke and smelling the cedar, because there were small cedar bushes in this area that they were trying to get rid of. And to me, it was like one big space clearing. And so I went and talked to the lead person and was explaining this to him, and asked him if it would be okay if I did a tobacco giving, because I didn't want to disrupt anything. I could go, to the side and do it by myself. I just didn't want to surprise him with it. And so he literally stopped everything for me to do a ceremony on the fly, to call in the directions and to put tobacco down for the prairies, but also put tobacco down for the cedar. Yeah. So that was one memory that I have that is a very joyful one, where it was this huge space clearing. Very cool. All right. So cedar. The author states, "I am cedar. I am the sacred tree of the mountains and the deserts. Burn my bark, needles, and wood, and offer my healing, purifying smoke, which cleanses and removes negativity. Protection is found within my shadow. I am abundance, prosperity, on material plane as money and wealth, and on the spiritual plane as enlightenment. I am guardian. I am longevity." Cedar. So we have a lot of masculine energy here. The sun is masculine, the fire is masculine, the north is feminine. So a lot of active energy with this one. So how does that fit with hawk? How does that fit with hawk? I honestly believe that spirit is using the energy of cedar, the spirit of cedar, and the sacred masculine energy is to move forward with communicating from your heart. That you might even want to purify whatever area that you're in, making it a sacred space before you have your communication, right? You can smudge, and you can use cedar, but you don't necessarily have to. It's more important your intention and respecting the plant and the fire, right? Yeah. So if you don't have cedar where you're at, you can use just about anything, right? That you would normally use for purification. We only got a couple minutes left, but I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I have a whole bag of dried cedar. Because if you use newly harvested cedar, what you're going to get is a whole lot of smoke because it's really damp because it retains water. But if you use the dried, you're going to get smoke, but it's not going to be really billowy and yeah. And these are easier to burn when they're dried. So that's cedar. I don't know. Let's see if I can show this. How can I show this so you can see it? Oops. There we go. Maybe that. Yeah, there we go. So that's cedar. So the feeling I have is that spirit is really asking us to have those communications from our heart and our genuine truth is how she put it. And calling on Hawk to help us identify those areas that are blocks, right? But also to identify the positive steps to take for a resolution or a healing, right? Yeah. And the corn planting moon, right, is that it is about that communication, but we also have to take into consideration that child, that inner child. When we're speaking to someone and we're speaking from our hearts, we're not going to bruise their inner child, right? We're going to nurture that inner child rather than bruising them. Even though it might be, what did Jen call that? Hard love. Even though it might be hard love, you're not bruising them if you're coming from your heart. Right? Yeah. And Cedar is talking about how we can purify the situation. We can raise the vibration of the situation or even the physicalness of it, the physical space, by removing the negativity, the lower vibrational energies that could be interfering. We have our tools. Let's use them, right? Yeah. All right. Jen is saying, yes, cedar is good for ticks, parasites, etc., things that suck your energy. I use cedarwood oil in my neem soap and on my dog. Oh, that's cool. All right. So call in your spiritual team. Get the whole gang there. Ask them to come close and ask them to help you to take in the information coming from the cards, the spirit, the essence that's helpful to you, right? That you resonate with so that you can take it in and see and how it could be helpful to you today, all right? So I'm going to show you all three. So calling in your team, taking a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, taking in the information that is being offered to us by Spirit to help us today, and how Hawk came to us first, and how the medicine of Hawk can help us to identify through the larger picture from a higher perspective, the blocks and the barriers and what that may mean, but also to help us to identify our next best steps in the positive. Right. And with the corn planting moon supporting Hawk's message for us in that communicating from our high heart, establishing those loving boundaries. And when we speak from our heart, we nurture the inner child rather than bruising them. And Cedar's coming to us to help us to know that we can take away or remove the lower vibrational energies around the situation by raising the vibration, assisting us so that we can fill that space, that void that was created when we took away the negative. We can fill it with a positive energy, a loving energy. And if you can't even think of how to phrase that, you can just fill it with the Creator's divine love, light, and truth. Fill it with every nook, cranny, and corner, every space between the space, and raise the vibration so that when you have that conversation and you're coming from your heart, that you're in a space that supports you. Right? And supports everybody. Yeah, it's a good one. Good communication stuff going on. Jen's saying, yes, it makes so much sense for me right now. Thank you, Neshi. You're welcome, Jen. I'm glad that it was helpful, that you resonated with the messages that Spirit brought to us today. Yeah, and thank you, Jen, for saying that, because whatever resonated with you today with this conversation that we had, is to embrace it. And then watch, see, sense, or feel how the energy of today is unfolding around you and where this information could be helpful. Right? That's what Spirit's giving to us, the opportunity. Right? And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. No worries. It's all right. There's always tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. There's always tomorrow. Okay, so just at the top of the hour, I wanted to share with you guys just a little bit about the magazine, Star Nations magazine. We're coming up on publication day for the August issue of Star Nations magazine. We publish on the 10th of every month, and this month is a little bit different. We are going to publish on the 10th. We are publishing the print on demand and the PDF and the web viewer versions of the magazine on the 10th. And that comes through our partners at Mag Cloud. And so we'll be doing that. We're heading toward right now the finish line with that one. We're going to be editing the PDF and making those tweaks and changes. And then we'll be poised to do the publishing on the 10th. Yay! I so much enjoy the 10th, only because, there's a sense of completion and a job well done. And it's just a joyous time for me. And this month we have to delay the Apple and Google version of the magazine. I'm pushing it out until August 20th. And that's because our partners at Magcast, They're still dealing with the ransomware hacking that was done earlier at the end of July, I guess it was, end of July. And so they're slowly bringing things back up online. But, rather than being caught in the in the rush of 300 other publishers doing their publishing, I decided to wait until the 20th. And that way, our partners at Alumni, we don't have to feel the pressure and the stress around that if we push it out a little bit. So expect that to happen for the publishing of the Apple and the Google version of Star Nations magazine on August 20th. Okay, and I'll let you guys know all about that. And yeah, I think that's good. So thank you so much for being with me this afternoon. I really do appreciate it. I really do enjoy our time together here at Spiritual Roundtable and the spiritual conversation that takes place. It's one of the highlights of my day. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you for those who are watching the recorded version of this. Thank you so much for making time in your day to spend it with us. I do appreciate it. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Holly Joe's show, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Soul Connections. Come out and join us for a divine evening of divine healing and divine messages. I think that's how that goes. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and hopefully we'll see you tonight in the chat. Okay, Bama Mina, until we see each other again. Love you guys.